Thanks, Melanie. Can you hear? Oh, okay. So I just wanted to bring up kind of what's happening first in the higher education sector, because I think somebody, I can't remember who, somebody said that you can't address these the people who are in that context. It's very difficult for them alone to address the issue. But I think when it comes to higher education, it's not just the people within the higher education sector, because ideologically there's a problem within the sector. So for example, even 7-8 years ago, if we talk to university teachers about the dismantling of higher education, free education in the higher education sector, there would have been a lot of people who spoke on behalf of it. But today the situation is very, very different. So when we are going through, okay, can you hear me now? Okay. When you talk about it today, right now there are multiple processes through which we are dismantling free education in the higher education sector. Some of it is happening within the system, some of it is happening from outside, some of it is happening legally, sometimes it's happening illegally, and all of that is happening, and there are very few people to speak on behalf of it. And I feel that therefore there is a really huge need to say you cannot rely on just the people within the sector to address this issue. Also because if you watch the news and watch the way people talk about this issue, you will see that students who go out and protest have been vilified. So there have been silenced through this labeling of as ungrateful students, rowdy students, things like that. And the same with teachers, not just university teachers, but school teachers. They're bad teachers, teachers who want to do nothing, and therefore they are speaking out. Those kinds of labeling and a lot of other messaging about how ineffective our system is, how much our students are not getting jobs. All these things are used to sort of prevent people who are really concerned about what's happening right now from speaking and being heard. There's a problem there. So specifically, but actually there's a huge problem. So in all of our universities, I'm from Peradeniya, this includes Peradeniya, there's a current attempt to create a parallel free-living university structure that because we don't have money, because university, we don't even have money for paper sometimes, within the university system, we don't know how to handle it, because we need money, and this is a way to get resources. So that's happening. Then in addition to that, you may have heard about the National Educational Policy Framework. Now this is broader than higher education, and I just wanted to read out 5 things that they think are the key problems in the education sector today. And just from listening to the panelists so far, you might want to imagine what are the key issues that you might consider are plaguing the education sector today. So they list education key actors are not working together, exam-driven system that stifles creativity, multiple progression paths without linkages, digital divide, investment deployed without ROI, return on investment. Consider this last point, knowing that Sri Lanka has the second lowest GDP proportion allocated to education. How can we talk about ROI? So it is in this is what the NEPF sees as the key problems of the education. I'm not saying that maybe there are problems, but are those the problems that we come to our head when we are talking about the crisis that is happening today in education? Then at the same time, there is attempts to create a pathway for private education and for fee-levying education through the KDU. KDU does not have a mandate to take civilian students, but now they have advertised and they're going to select people. Okay? They've been doing it for a while, so actually what they're doing is illegal. Now, maybe you have no issues with fee-levying education. Maybe you don't have a problem with private education. But I think this is something that should come through a consultative process with the people of this country, just like they did when our existing policy was created. But that's not how this is happening. This is happening behind back doors. We don't know who's drafting these documents. We don't know who's being consulted. So it is not the way a democracy handles education. So my sense is, so we have the KDU issue, then we have the current situation where we are underfunding public education, we are having new policies being drafted. All of them, if you look at them overall, are made possible because of an ideological position that we have now decided we are okay with this dismantling of free education without actually a dialogue. And secondly, through the lack of funding, progressively like starving the system to death, essentially. So, and we know who's going to benefit from this and who is going to be left behind. And I think that's where we need to start. And I think maybe in this forum, we have, somebody mentioned hope and imagination. Hope and imaginations are should be the key of any education system. And without an education system, what are we actually hoping and imagining our future to be? I think we really need to take this seriously, and we have to connect what's going on in I didn't mention education, but education and general education and higher education, with all the issues that have been brought up from these panelists, to create some kind of cohesive understanding, coherent and cohesive understanding of what's going on, and how can we actually co-opt our system of education so that we can speak about these things through education strategy. They should be the center of it. And I want to bring one point out because of the forum we are in. We also need to think about public funding for research. Right now, especially in the social sciences, these are minimal. That means there's only funding for research that people are donor-driven. So that means that there's some agenda behind them. It means that researchers can't have a program of research built on certain public interests. We can't have these kinds of forums. It's harder to have these kinds of forums within universities. So I think we have to think about this research issue along with the broader issues of education. Thanks.